All right, welcome to our first session, Like Mother, Like Daughter, a conversation about timeless leadership traits and family with the dynamic mother-daughter duo of Liz and Ada Ruth Huntley. They have had a unique year leading the university through unprecedented challenges and doing so as a mother-daughter team. We are happy you have joined us for this conversation on women in leadership, the importance of representation, and the power of family. Today's conversation will be moderated by Regina Sanders, who is the second female to hold the title of President of the Auburn Alumni Association Board of Directors, as well as the first Black. And we are so excited for y'all to be here today to hear this conversation. As a reminder, you are automatically muted, but you can put your questions and comments in the group chat, and we will get to as many as we can at the end of the session, what time allows. Thank you so much, Regina, and take it away.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Erin. Well, everyone, we are in for a treat this morning. It is my absolute pleasure to facilitate this mother-daughter discussion between Liz Huntley and Ada Ruth Huntley. And before we get started, I just want to say that these two women are absolutely amazing. I have known Liz since we were in college. We actually overlapped, and I remember working on her bid for SGA president when I was, I think maybe a sophomore. So Liz has always been an inspiration to me, and had the pleasure of really getting to know her daughter over the last, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 years, who is an amazing young and growing leader. And I'm very proud to say one of my sorority sisters. So these two women hold a very, very special place in my heart. And I am very humbled and thankful and just excited to be able to facilitate this discussion. So as we kick things off, I'm just going to ask them both to sort of start in their own way, telling them a little bit about themselves, and then we'll get into the questions. So we'll start with Liz.
Okay, so older first, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm Liz Huntley, who absolutely is madly in love with my alma mater, Auburn University. College is so important to all of us, for those of us that are blessed with the opportunity to go, because it helps shape us as we transition into adulthood. And Auburn certainly did that for me. I currently serve on the Auburn University Board of Trustees, and it's such a privilege. And I am I'm an attorney by trade, child advocate by triumph. And most importantly, I'm a mom, and a very proud mom of the daughter I'm sharing the screen with today, Ada Ruth. And I have another daughter, Sarah Beth, who went a different SEC route, and she's a freshman at Vanderbilt. And for those of you that know me and know my story, I have a little caboose surprise who's 6 years old and in kindergarten. So I'm excited to be here and excited to share this platform with my daughter, who I'm extremely proud of.
All right, Ada Ruth.
Sure, I guess I'll go next. Well, first, thank you so much for having us. This is really our first discussion panel that me and Mom have gotten to do in our first real event together. So looking forward to this conversation. But for those of you that I haven't had the privilege to meet, my name is Ada Ruth Huntley, and I'm currently a senior at Auburn University, of course, majoring in global studies with a minor in hunger studies in the College of Human Sciences. And I've had the honor and privilege over the past year to serve as the Student Government Association president, and such a crazy time. There was certainly no better year to serve as SGA president than this one, but was honored to be the first Black female in the role. So it was an incredible honor and an incredible experience, and just transitioned out. So congratulations to President Wagner on that incredible accomplishment. I know he's going to have a great year, but also had the honor to serve in so many different other organizations like Black Student Union, Camp Eagle, Student Recruiters. So I've had an opportunity to be involved in a wide array of organizations on our campus. So really excited for this conversation this morning. Oh, and future plans. So I will be graduating here in the near future, and then I'll be attending the Culinary Institute of America beginning in September, and their Accelerated Culinary Arts program at their Napa Valley campus. So incredibly excited for this next step, and thankful for Auburn for helping me get there.
Well, we're very proud of you, Ada Ruth, and I'm super excited about you and the next phase of what you're going to be accomplishing. Can't wait to watch from the sidelines. So with that being said, let's just dive into this discussion on leadership. So I would like to hear from each of you, what leadership traits you see in each other. So this time we'll start with Ada Ruth.
Okay, good deal. I'm ready for this one because this is mom's favorite buzzword, but she embodies it best. And it's resilience. You know, if many of you haven't heard her speech, I highly encourage you to go and check out her TED Talk. Yes, Casual Flex, she does have a TED Talk, and just hear about her incredible story and the things that she's had to triumph. And, you know, when I meet people who are familiar with mom and her story, I'm like, yep, it's a tough act to follow. Not just because of the incredible work that she's been able to accomplish, but the resiliency that she's been able to demonstrate along the way. And, you know, even with having a really traumatic childhood and overcoming those challenges, even like being her child and seeing her navigate both the professional world and the challenges of a work-life balance and different things of that nature, I've seen her continue to demonstrate that resilience. And so it's a quality in her that I certainly hope to emulate. So when I'm complaining or bogged down about things, I try to, you know, always refer back to mom and just like demonstrating that resilience, because it's something in her that I really hope to emulate in myself.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ada Ruth. I guess the one, if I'm taking one word that I admire the most about my daughter, is her empathy for others. It's certainly what drives her to do the things that she do. Some people want titles for the sake of titles or to be good on their resumes or whatever. And what I've observed about her, which is priceless for me as a parent, is most of the time when she's going after a goal, it's because she sees something, some way that God can use her gifts and talents to serve others in that role. And you don't find that often in young people. They're trying to check all of their boxes for their resumes, and they know certain things open certain doors. But for her, it's truly been about a platform of utilizing those opportunities to help others, and I'm really proud of her for that.
Thank you both for that. I feel like those are words that everybody should write down: resilience and empathy. And for such a time as this, we absolutely need all of our leaders to embody those traits. So it's amazing that that's what you see in each other. So moving right along with sort of the same line of thought, who are some of the women that inspire each one of you, and why?
You go, Ada.
Oh, okay. We'll start with me. Well, certainly, I mean, the opportunities are endless for incredible women out there who have inspired me and continue to inspire me in my leadership. I think the person that is kind of on my mind as of recent is Meghan Markle. I mean, to have experienced what she experienced, come out of it, be so open and empathetic about mental health, and be incredibly passionate about sharing her story so that she can help others. And even having dealt with all of that, you know, animosity and being in the royal family, coming out of it and being so graceful about it and using that experience to figure out how she can continue to help others and how she can help educate people on mental health and, you know, how they can overcome tough circumstances. So I think she is just a vision. I think she is just the epitome of class and grace. And so just hearing her story, especially as of recent, has certainly inspired me.
That's a good one.
Well, it's so difficult. There's so many amazing women that are alive today, but if I'm truly being honest in responding to that question, I am so inspired by Maya Angelou. I mean, I remember when I had a history teacher to encourage me to read autobiographies because I love to read. The very first one I picked up was "I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings," and I have to say, you know, her inspiration is timeless. And the fact that it lives on in print and it can continue to inspire generations to come is so powerful. I'm so thankful that technology existed to record some of her incredible speeches and presentations, and had the opportunity through Auburn to actually meet her in person, which was a surreal moment. But she's just incredible in that she reflects so many things that are wonderful about women and our unique traits that make us women. And so I have to have Maya up there at the top of the list.
That's great. That's great. You actually took the word that I was thinking as both of you all were talking, which is timeless. And I love the fact that each one of you chose a woman from your generations, your respective generations. And it just goes to show you that inspiration is timeless.
Mm-hmm.
So Liz, turning things back to you, when you ran for SGA president back, and I'm not going to say the year because that dates both of us, what was your motivation for running for president when you were at Auburn?
Well, I just really had been involved in student government as a freshman and saw so many opportunities of ways to really bridge what I thought were some gaps between the students that made up the campus that traditionally were actively involved in SGA versus the students who were really passive and weren't involved, because I really understood that SGA was sort of the core place for student engagement, for student opportunity, for student voice, all of those ways to really move the needle on some issues that students were concerned about. And I thought it would be a great way to sort of bridge those two sectors of campus, and unfortunately didn't prevail in that pursuit, but that was what motivated me at the time when I ran.
Okay. And what was your first thought when Ada Ruth told you that she was planning to run for SGA president?
I told her not no, but H no. Well, and we're laughing, but I really did tell her don't do it. And I told her don't do it because at the time, I knew all the iron she had in the fire, and working on her degree and being focused on that, and and I understood the pressures that come with the job and the huge responsibility, and it's not that I didn't think she was capable or up to the job or had an opportunity to win. It was just being a mom and saying, are you sure you really want to take this on? She was wrapping up being president of her sorority. And that was a huge responsibility that year. And I just really thought, and again, in the mom role, do you really want to take this on? This is so huge. And of course, she convinced me that she did. So we did as parents do. Tony and I rolled up our sleeves and supported her as best we could.
That's great. That's great. So having said all that, and having made up your mind, Ada Ruth, so what was your motivation? And I also would like to get your reaction to what your mom said when you first told her.
Well, it definitely made me second guess, like, dang, should I do that? So I was like, that was a really intense no. But no, kind of very similar to mom, had the opportunity to get involved in SGA as early as freshman year. I mean, I was involved in SGA meetings from like my very first week on campus and immediately fell in love. That's where I met, who I identify as my tribe and who have now served as my mentors and have now become friends as close as siblings. And it really kind of became home. But I knew early on that I was interested in potentially running for SGA president, but I really wanted to get my feet wet in other parts of campus and really experience all that Auburn had to offer before making that decision, because you are investing your senior year into the job. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I was involved in BSU. I was involved in student recruiters. I did Camp Regal. I was president of my sorority. I studied abroad. I did research. I mean, anything I probably could have done on campus, I did. And yet every single one of those experiences, I have felt this tug back to SGA and felt so passionate about this organization because I got to see firsthand the opportunity that SGA had to really make a difference in students' lives and the different administrations I'd seen in my time at Auburn. And so I knew my heart was calling me to run. I knew that was the job I wanted to do senior year and, hopefully leave Auburn a little bit better than I found it as a result of doing that job. And, was fortunate enough to be elected by the student body. Still can't figure out why, but was fortunate to be elected by the student body.
We know why. You're great. No, that's awesome. And so, I know that when you assumed the position, and I was looking back at the video, of when you were announced and just the excitement, I'm sure that your term was not exactly like you thought it was going to be in the COVID era. So what I'd like to hear from you is how was it leading during that COVID era and what did it teach you?
My goodness, what a challenge. It was really kind of chaotic. So, people all the time really don't understand the timeline. I was elected on February 4th. I was officially installed on March 1st after undergoing a month of transition. So kind of getting educated on the ins and outs of the jobs, the events to expect, to then be official March 1st. And then around March 10th is when the university officially went into lockdown. So everything I'd kind of learned over the last month kind of flew out the window, and we kind of had to operate by the seat of our pants. It was really chaotic because nobody knew what was going on. But, this year has taught me so much, and so much that I know I'll be able to carry on into whatever comes next for me about, again, that buzzword, resiliency, and being adaptable and truly being passionate about an organization. I'm really thankful that I stepped into this job truly passionate about serving the student body, because otherwise I would have left this experience feeling very deflated and very unfulfilled. But I get to walk away from this feeling so encouraged and so uplifted, knowing that I got to do exactly what I signed up to do, right? Because initially it was like, this is not what I signed up for, da, 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 da. But then I kind of got to thinking like, no, this is exactly what you signed up for. You signed up to serve the student body, and that's exactly what you're going to do. And so I pulled up my big girl pants and got to work, and that's what me and my team did. And it was certainly a challenge, because everybody has these expectations for the fun things that you're going to do throughout the year and the times you get to be in person and have retreats and Camp Regal pep rallies. So certainly keeping people motivated was a struggle throughout the year, because they're stepping into a non-traditional experience, and you're asking them to do all this work with, a lot less of the perks in the past. But I had such an incredible team. I would not have made it throughout this year without them, of just helping keep our teams motivated, keep them on track. And, I think we really catered to the needs of the student body throughout this year very well. So I'm definitely fortunate for this experience and learned a lot.
That's great. That's great. And I have to mention one of the chats that just came in that says, I'm sure you were elected because others saw a leader in you and believed you were authentic in how you serve. And I think that is absolutely right on point and appropriate. So, having both served in leadership positions at Auburn, and you especially now, Liz, as being on our board of trustees and serving there, what, if anything, about being a woman leader at Auburn is different? Or better said, how has the Auburn leadership experience influenced you in how you lead?
I'll let you go first. Well, I can tell you that it really has caused a paradigm shift for me, if you will. Because, these are major decisions that are made that affect not just, Auburn has such an important place in not just Auburn, Alabama, or the state of Alabama, but in the world. I mean, when I first came on the board, one of the first things I did my first year was to go and visit with every dean of every college and absorb sort of what each college contributed to the university. And to say I was blown away was an understatement. I never had a true appreciation for the impact that Auburn has on the world through all that it does in its various capacities throughout the different colleges. And so all of a sudden it's like, this isn't just another board, this isn't just another looking at a budget and participating in fundraising and, being supportive and collaborating. This is about making decisions that impact an institution that impacts the world. And it became really big. And so that was really the first role I had, although I've had lots of leadership positions where the magnitude of the decisions and the evaluation process of what's going on and what kind of input you're going to have took on a whole different level for me. And it's made me a better leader in my profession, in my advocacy work, just really across the board, because I now, really have to go a whole lot deeper in making decisions versus just looking at recommendations. And you've also got to be kind of tough on my board because everybody knows who's on our board and we've got some strong personalities. So it's really forced me to really have to step up to the plate and assert myself when I have an opinion about something, and not be a wallflower in the room, but understand that as a woman and as an African-American, I bring a diverse voice to the table that should be heard and brings value to the conversation in making decisions that affect Auburn. So it has really been a leadership transition for me. Big paradigm shift, but a positive one in a great way.
That's great. That's great. Same question to you, Ada Ruth.
Yes, no, I've certainly learned so much being a woman in leadership at Auburn. Being a woman in leadership certainly has its challenges and, looks very different for everybody. But what I can say about what's unique about the Auburn experience is, at least in my experience, the Auburn family has been very, very real, and that serves in this serves in jobs previously. I mean, I look at my SEC peers and there's some of them who struggle to get their foot in the door in a meeting with an administrator. And all it took for me was to send an email. And in some cases, it didn't even take that much of how much they valued the student voice. They'd be the ones emailing me saying, how are students feeling? How can we better be advocating for the needs of the student body? So we're very lucky in that regard. But, our administrators take it a step further. They also want to invest in you too. I've had a lot of phenomenal women leader mentors on this campus who have continued to invest in me and have been a sounding board and sometimes a shoulder to cry on when things get tough. It doesn't just stop with the women either. I've had a lot of great male mentors on this campus as well who have invested in me and my leadership journey and helped to continue to foster, my growth and development as a leader. And so I feel like being a woman in leadership at Auburn has been nothing but a positive experience for me because I've had so many incredible people pouring into me as I've navigated my leadership journey. And for that, I'm definitely a better leader as I prepare to move on to this next chapter.
That's great. That's great. So we're going to take a couple of questions from the chat. And the first one that came up is, what was it like working with each other as mother and daughter with you, Ada Ruth, being SGA president and you, Liz, serving on the board of trustees?
Mom, do you want to go first?
Well, there's a huge generational gap between us in terms of our opinions on things. And so, but one thing that Ada Ruth and I both possess, and that's a spirit of compromise and collaboration and doing what's better for the greater good of something that we care about. And those are sort of family traits, right? And so it was that I think got us through. We had lots of debates. I mean, as you can imagine, with the highly sensitive issues related to diversity that we've been dealing with this year as a university, and not to mention the challenges with COVID and how it's impacted the student experience and hard decisions that the university has had to make. And I really think God did this for a reason, for her to be there at this time because of our relationship. We were able to talk, as 10,000-foot leader to student leader in a very intimate way, to sort of understand where each one was coming from. And I think that has benefited the university, the fact that we have been able to do that. And it doesn't mean we agree all the time. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't go on and go her path, and pursue things from her perspective. But it's certainly been a benefit, and it's been an honor. It's just been an honor to be able to serve alongside my daughter. It's humbling. I'll try not to get emotional. Just even thinking about this panel today makes me emotional. I mean, isn't that what every parent dreams of? I mean, all you care about is that, you're such a great responsibility to raise a child. And what your hope is that you're going to pour into a human being that's going to somehow be a positive impact on society. Sometimes that's just in their place of employment. And then there are blessed times like with Ada Ruth, where they impact thousands of people. And it's been an honor this year.
That's great.
Yeah, it has certainly been, especially given the circumstances, an interesting experience. And I apologize for being on my phone, but I wanted to share this with everybody attending. This is a photo of us at our first board meeting. Certainly did not expect to be attending in our dining room with headphones in, but we made the most of it. We were in our PJs and shared the headphones. I had one, she had the other. And, that's just kind of how this year has been, us getting to work together in this really unique circumstance. And, it's funny, one of the first conversations I had with an administrator after I was elected, and even some before I was elected, they were like, we've never had a kid of a trustee member be SGA president. We got to talk about what that relationship will look like. I said, listen, if you think this is going to have anything to do with me, like catering to mom's agenda all year, you are very much incorrect, because we can disagree and we can do it better. So it was fun, throughout the year. There were lots of times that we were right on the same page about things. And there were lots of times that we weren't, but we were able to work through those. But more importantly, I think we were also really good about separating when's time to talk about Auburn and when time to just be a family and do things like watch SVU or watch a Pixar movie with everybody or play Minecraft with AJ. We did a good job of separating that work-life balance, which I think was really good for our relationship too. But no, it was really fun getting to work with Mom this year. It's just such a unique opportunity and something that I will certainly cherish all those memories forever.
Well, so that's like a perfect segue, and you guys have hit on a lot of this, but what role does family play in your successes?
Oh gosh, I can start this one. Dang, and I could get emotional talking about this. I mean, my family has been my rock my entire life. A lot of people don't know this, but I really struggled through middle school and high school, really like finding my identity and, you know, just being like, I guess, embraced by the peers around me. And so I struggled a lot with like bullying and not necessarily being accepted. And like I was a kid that wasn't invited to the fun parties. And I struggled with that my whole life. But, I think the thing that kept me going was my family. They always just encouraged me to keep going and keep being involved. They always embraced all that I was authentically. Like there's a lot of parents that their kids would be like, hey, I want to go to culinary school after college. And they'd be like, what the heck are you thinking? Go get a job. But the minute I told my parents, it was immediately just like, yes, this is what you were meant to do. Like, we support you 110%. And that's how it's been my whole life, like even coming to Auburn and experiencing college for the first time and struggling. I got a concussion my freshman year and had to take a medical incomplete, which a lot of people don't know, just struggle after struggle after struggle. And my parents were there to pick me up every single time, and my siblings included. I guess we have to give some credit to Sarah Beth and AJ, I guess. But no, my family has been my rock throughout my life, and I would not be the leader that I am or just the person that I am without having had their support over these last 21 years.
That's great.
Well, this is where it's really hard for me not to get emotional, because those of you that know my story know that my mom committed suicide when I was 5. My dad was in and out of prison. My grandmother raised me in a home with a lot of poverty and violence and sexual abuse and in and out of foster homes. So I never had a stable family, and I bounced around a lot. So this new space, this new chapter of my life, no matter any success, title, or anything, what's important is this unit that I'm in now with my family. It means everything to me. It is more important than anything else I do in my life. Just our times, and it's not even the big trips or the big successes that we all celebrate with each other, but it's the simple times. It's the planting a garden during quarantine, or playing trouble with AJ and hoping he doesn't cry because he's a sore loser, or just it's everything to me. And one of the things that I wanted to instill in them as a part of because I think every family should have sort of a mantra, sort of this is who we are as a family, and I wanted us to always be givers, because we are blessed with so much. So we should always find a way that we can help others. I wanted us to always support each other wholeheartedly. Whatever the other one does, we are always there cheering on, supporting, encouraging, doing whatever we could to support each other, and just, stay in touch with each other, be aware of one another and how you can support each other. So, and I really feel like we're crazy, we're wacky, we screw up, we do crazy things, and they're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Tony's not perfect. We fuss. All of the typical things that a family does, but it's sort of that love and commitment to supporting and loving each other and using our gifts for others is what's important.
So Liz, based on what you just said, I'd like to specifically give you one of the questions that's in the chat. Someone asked, having a young daughter, what are some of the things that can help introduce them to leadership at an early age? And I would also maybe add to that, these strong values that you've been able to instill in Ada Ruth and in Sarah Beth and AJ, of course.
Well, when I first had Ada Ruth, and I don't tell many people this story, but when she was born, okay, I was practicing law, you know, I finished law school. We were 4 years married. So the timing was right. She was a surprise. She came a year earlier than we expected, and she continues to surprise us. But anyway, we embrace it. Okay, so it's a year earlier than we planned, and let's do this. So we you know, got the perfect nursery and had all these beautiful baby showers and had everything and all ready to go. And I get to the hospital, I have Ada Ruth, this beautiful baby. And I'll never forget this. I'm sitting in my room, Tony's gone, and I'm sitting there by myself, and I look down at her and I just start crying, like crying profusely, like just hyperventilating type crying. And Tony was like, what is wrong? He came back in, he's like, what is wrong? And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know, this is a human being. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to teach her or whatever, because I didn't have that. I didn't have some model, some example to go by. And Tony was like, you're going to be fine. We're just going to love her. And I'll never forget, and don't get mad at me, Auburn fans, in mentioning this person, but I picked up the phone and I called John Croyle. John Croyle is a former Alabama football player who's the founder of the Big Oak Ranch. And Tony and I had been actively involved serving as relief parents to Big Oak Ranch. And, you know, and here this guy, this pillar of raising children and pouring into young people. And I called him and I was like, just crying, like, John, I don't know what to do. I got this kid and I don't even know where to begin. I can buy her stuff and do all that, but how do I raise her? And he told me, he's like, Liz, you're one of the most resilient people I know. He's like, tell me how you have gotten through these other challenges, going to college, you know, getting through high school and all of that. And I was like, you know, well, I asked people, I read, and he was like, well, this is no different. You know, you read, you research, you talk to people that have done it well, and you figure it out. It's the same process. And it just sort of calmed me down. And I remember by the time I got home with Ada Ruth, he had sent me some books, one of which he wrote, Bringing Out the Leader in Your Child. And so I just started reading and applying some of those principles to the girls. And it just sort of has been, and of course, God, my pastor, and you know, my faith and what the Bible tells us about how to raise our children. So I had to go to external resources to figure this thing out, because I didn't have the luxury of having had, you know, a 2-parent home to grow up in and something to draw from. And as I share this with women across the country, when I speak, I've often found that I'm not the only unparented parent out there. There are unparented parents that were in 2-parent homes, you know, where there may have been dysfunction there. And so because of that, they don't really know how to do this. And so it's been a journey. I call Ada Ruth the guinea pig of the 3. And so I think she's turned out okay, as Tony and I have navigated through this. But I do want to share one thing that I think is so central that we started doing. And, you know, when we first started out, you know, my husband's a school teacher and I started out clerking for judges. And so there wasn't a lot of money at the beginning. And so, but I wanted the girls to understand, appreciate cultures and not just think in their little small box in their small world. So we started this thing called Huntley World Tour, where in the summer we would, because I wanted them to understand the impact of society and how it impacts culture and how it impacts people and how it impacts how people are treated. Because I thought if I did that, if I started to get them to understand observing the world and how it functions, that would trigger the kind of critical thinking that could shape a leader. And so what we would do is we had a bowl, everybody picked a country they wanted to learn about. On Sunday, we would draw that name out of the bowl, and the girls had to both online research and go to the library book research about that country. And they had to write an essay that they presented to us at the dinner table on Sunday about that country. And in presenting that essay, they had to not only focus on just the country and the demographics and general things about it, but most importantly, they had to focus on how were women and children treated in that country. that's critical, you know, in terms of understanding the social fabric of your nation. It made them appreciate our country even more as they made those comparisons. And we would also end the week on that Sunday by making an authentic meal from that country. And we would try to eat that meal in the way they would in that country. So I really feel like that one experience, it may be why my child loves culinary and food and travel and all of that so much, but really it did family bonding. It made them talk outside of the box and go deeper and think. And I really think it played a pivotal role. But the biggest thing was I observed others, I read, and just did the best I could navigating through it.
I'd say it played a pivotal role. I'm a global studies major going to culinary school. So.
I was going to say the same thing too. And I feel like it also played right into empathy being, you know, the word that you led with today too, all of those things. So Liz, as a consultant, I'm going to tell you, you did a very good job with your conference room pilot and you've been able to replicate that extremely well. So great job. So what is your proudest moment of each other?
Mom, you go first.
Oh gosh, there's so many. And you would think that it's SGA president, and I am proud of that. Oh gosh. They're just too many to name. I think I have to say this one. Ada was president of Focus. Focus is a student-led sort of peer helper program at school. And it would make sense since you heard her testimony about being bullied and those sort of things. And she had an incredible sponsor at the time that when she was involved in Focus. And through that organization, Ada started this thing in our community called Operation Birthday Wish, which lives on today. And through Operation Birthday Wish, the students at school, they made sure every foster kid in our community, and we have over 125 plus foster kids in our little small county even, make sure every single one of them got a gift, and not just a gift for their birthday, but they got to submit a little bit of wish list so that you got them something they truly wanted. And so when Ada graduated from high school, Sarah Beth did it. And Sarah Beth graduated from high school, and now I've gotten the chamber involved, and the chamber's helping carry on the program. And you know, and I've always taught them, it's one of our core family values. You try to leave a place a little better than it was, you know, before you got there. And so our local community, at least for those foster kids, you know, that's something that's a little better than it was. I mean, they know they get this surprise birthday present from this entity called Operation Birthday Wish that happens to be something they really want, you know. And she started that, organized, I mean, did it all herself. I mean, got people to donate the gifts and coordinated, and then Sarah Beth picked up the ball, and now, you know, I'm working with the chamber for them to take it over. And I'm so proud of that. And it exemplifies, right, you know, who she is.
That's great.
Okay, I've thought of mine. So me and Mom a couple years ago had the really fun opportunity to go to Canada together. And this was Mom's first international speaking engagement. I'd studied abroad at that time, so I was like, "Ooh, I'm taking you on your first international trip." So I had a lot of fun with it. But it was really cool. Like, one, to just get to see her like speak at this conference. But then I think the thing that like was just amazing was she was talking to one of the conference coordinators, and she was like, "Is there like a school around here? You know, like I'm in Canada. I don't know when I'm going to get to come back. I just really want to connect with the kids in the area." And they literally found a school for her to go speak to. She did it free of charge, because let me tell you, she won't tell you she's expensive. She did it free of charge. She drove out all this way to this school and spoke to these hundreds of kids. And it was the most amazing thing, you know, like she could have just easily gone back to her hotel. She could have, you know, kicked back to relax, just enjoyed the rest of her trip, which does Liz Huntley know how to relax? That's to be determined. But instead, she took that opportunity to continue to serve a community because she saw an opportunity to do so, when she very easily could have just stepped back, done her speaking engagement, and gone on about her day. So that was just an amazing moment, and the kids got so much out of it. I know a lot of them came up and like spoke to her after, and shared that they had dealt with some similar experiences in their household and wanted tips on like how to move forward. And that experience probably changed a lot of those kids' lives that mom just volunteered to do. So it was amazing to watch. I was a very, very proud daughter that day.
That's amazing. Wonderful, wonderful stories. So inspirational. The comments that are coming in are like, you guys are such an inspiration. What amazing women leaders, what amazing Auburn leaders. This has just been wonderful. And I'm going to end this with one last question for you all. That's actually from our chat. That's a bit of a combination of what I was going to end with, so it's perfect. So what is the ultimate vision you have for the future of Auburn and women's leadership in general that you'd like to leave with our summit participants today?
Absolutely. I can take this one first. I want more women on our campus to know that they can do it. Particularly those of color, but really any woman, right? I stepped into this job, and for those that aren't aware, I was the first Black female to ever do this job. Obviously, mom ran and wasn't successful. And then, I know a couple of other Black females who ran and weren't successful. And, but their contributions opened the door just a little bit wider for me to walk through. And so I'm forever grateful for their contributions, all of the Black student leaders, the Black alumni, faculty, staff who've come before me to help pave the way for me to walk through the door. But my hope is that after my year, that door is now open, and any woman coming after me can just walk through. And that doesn't have to look like SGA president, right? That can look like any leadership role on campus that, somehow, some way my story has now inspired future women to come onto this campus to say, you know what, Ada Ruth did it. So I'm going to go out for that position. I'm going to go for that research opportunity. I'm going to try to get that assistantship, because now they feel embodied to do that. And what I hope to see in future leadership of women in Auburn is, that continued mentorship that I've experienced, that continued legacy of incredible women leaders, because I could name you a laundry list of incredible women that we have on our campus, one of which being Gretchen Van Valkenburg, who coordinated this incredible event. So thank you so much to her and her contributions. And it's been great to work with her this year. But I mean, just phenomenal women on our campus who are going to continue to pour into future generations of Auburn women leaders. And, I hope that a little bit of what I've done will inspire future Auburn women to replicate what I've done and hopefully go even further.
That's right. Liz?
I think for me, because I look at it from that different level in my role as a trustee, I think it's really important for us to figure out a way to engage in more of the mentoring that I've observed with Ada Ruth, not just with students, but with our faculty and staff as well. I've been fortunate to see a lot of accomplishments for women during my tenure as president, and I mean, it's not as president, but as on the board of trustees, and to see the diversity of leadership and the diversity of voice at the table as a result of having that diversity of women in these high level, executive roles is so important. And not only having them in those roles, but then also having them be able to connect with those that are trying to strive towards, their goals. So this sort of informal mentoring that happens in Auburn is really a beautiful thing. I know Erin has been there for Ada Ruth, and just so many women have really been there for her. And I'd like to see that in more of a formalized way, where women that come to Auburn campus know that it's there, not just for Black women, for all women, because we bring a unique perspective that only makes Auburn better. I mean, this is the first time we've ever had a general counsel that's been a female at Auburn University, with Jamie Hammer. And she's incredible and brings a different perspective, with her background. And she's doing it all while juggling raising children and scampering around the country, watching soccer and, and all of those kinds of things. And those examples let younger women see that I can do this. Like, I can find a balance to be able, I don't have to trade off. I don't have to take a step back because I have a family and not pursue that goal. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it with balance, with support from your partner, with support from your tribe and your village. You know, you don't have to run solo. You know, you can, Lord knows I have an entire village of folks that I could not function without. One of which is, of course, is my partner and my husband and love of my life, Tony, you know, who I didn't mention earlier is an Auburn grad and was a cheerleader, and his family, one of the largest group of siblings to attend Auburn. But you know, it's just important to understand I have a goal. I feel like I can bring value in leadership to a particular role, but I also have a family and I have these other things that I care about, and finding that balance. And the best way to feel encouraged that you can do it is to see others do it and to hear from them and be able to talk to them about how they navigate through it.
Well, very, very well said, Liz. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning. I know that I have enjoyed this chat. It's been an inspiration to us all. I think that all of us are going to walk away from this feeling empowered, and feeling that we have the power to do exactly what you ladies just encouraged us to do. And that's exactly the type of thing that we wanted to result from doing this Women's Summit. So we thank you so much for participating. You have set the bar for us, and we look forward to continuing to see how you women evolve, serve, and help our university grow. And Ada Ruth, we all have our eyes on you because you're going to accomplish greatness. You already have.
I think we'll see her on Food Network one day. So
Yeah, we will.
I'm looking forward to it. And
All right.
I'm just going to say, Regina, your leadership is amazing. You're the perfect example of, you know, leading woman style is what I call it, you know, in a way where you can walk in with your heels and that hair laid exactly how it should be and makeup on fleek and all of that good stuff. But, you know, in your own feminine, soft way, but move mountains. You know, I think about, you know, Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the most significant women in history that made such an impact. And she did it in her cute little pea coat and her hats, but she moved mountains. And I love when women embrace their style and don't feel like they've got to be a certain kind of way in order to be recognized as leaders. And your style is phenomenal. And I love you for it. One of my heroes.
Thank you. And you one of mine. Well, thank you, everyone. And I think that I'll hand it back over to Erin to close us out.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm definitely inspired, and I'm so excited to have been able to witness both of you lead in real time together. It's been an honor to work with you and to see everything that you've been able to accomplish. For our next session, we will be seeing Auburn veterans igniting the spirit of empowerment. That starts at 10 a.m. So please leave this session and click the link that's in your confirmation email to join us at the next session. So thank you again so much for joining us today, and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.